Hello. I have sort of two interrelated questions.
Yeah.
One I think you're going to answer right away, but...
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I needed. Can I go now? No. I understand that in the process, contrast is necessary in the creative process.
Not just necessary, sought after.
Okay, sought after.
The reason I was born into this time and space, so that I would be inspired to more.
Okay, I love that. Does fear need to be part of that process?
Fear is only evident when I'm calibrated in opposition to my desire. Fear exists when I calibrate in opposition to desire.
Okay. So it's not needed in the sorting out process.
Oh yeah, it's needed.
Oh, is it?
It's needed because how are you going to know? You put a happy face sticker over your gas gauge, you might run out of gas. If you don't know about emotions, how are you going to know that this feels good if this doesn't feel bad? Isn't everything relative? Isn't there a relationship thing that's going on? Isn't that at the basics of physics as you know them to be? Isn't that necessary to calibrate anything? It doesn't have to get to fear. It could be frustration. But if you're frustrated and you don't calibrate, don't worry, it'll get bigger. Now you're mad, you're angry. If you don't calibrate, don't worry, it'll get bigger until you're in actual despondent despair. You can get more and more and more and more and more pinched off from who you really are. And so is it necessary? No. Is it helpful? Yes. This is something that we have just begun saying since we're talking about calibration, and so many of you are resonating to what calibrating really is. When you feel negative emotion, you are in the act of calibrating to something you do not want. But in the moment that anyone is calibrating to what they don't want, an equivalent calibration of what is wanted is happening at the same time. That's what relativity does for you. So if it's really, really, really unwanted, then this is really, really, really wanted. And you didn't just get there. There's been momentum in those vibrations that have led you to that. So the whole time you've been calibrating your way to fear, you've also been calibrating your way to love. It's just that you've been choosing to look this way because there's been so much in the physical realm that you're used to seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching that's sort of leading you that way. So while you're creating something unwanted, you're creating something wanted. While you're calibrating to something unwanted, you're calibrating something wanted. And so there it is. But if you don't know, if you're used to only seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching, you can't see what's over there. You can only feel what's over there. So it isn't until you understand that emotions are your tool of evidence of what you're calibrating that you would begin to feel for something else. You can't look and find it because it hasn't turned to things. It's not manifested yet, but you can feel it. So as you feel for it and find it and 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 calibrate to what feels good, then those thoughts turn to those things. How are you going to create something that hasn't been before in your life experience? Don't you have to start where you are? And if you're starting with a belief that you're unworthy or incapable, don't you have some vibrational ground to cover before it starts taking shape? Yes.
Along that lines, in the idea of the fact that trusting the process, I was talking to a friend who is a fan of yours as well, and I was saying, I'm really starting to feel like the universe is doing like 97% of the work. Yeah. And she said, that's so sweet that you think you're doing 3%. and it's still hard for me to trust that that's really the truth.
Well, here's the thing though, in appreciation for her putting it that way, because law of attraction is the engine and you are source energy, but it does require focus. It does require calibrating. And turns out just wanting it occasionally doesn't cut it. So Maybe you're calibrating 3%, 4%. Maybe you're calibrating 10%. Maybe you're all in. Maybe you're paying attention to how you feel. Maybe how you feel matters. Maybe when you don't feel good, you're thinking about why you don't feel good and you're poking around at it until you really don't feel good. Maybe you're making it absurd and you really don't feel good and you're launching more and more rockets, and then you decide it gets big enough and bad enough and absurd enough that you say, I don't want to feel like this. We wouldn't be putting any percentages on it. We want to say that the power is in the energy. It certainly is. But a creator focuses. And so what we would like to say, and maybe what she was getting at, is we don't want you to manipulate through words and actions, and by trying to get other people to behave in different ways, and by trying to think what's their real ulterior motive and what were they getting at and why did this turn out that way. In other words, stop manipulating and start calibrating. But the percentage of attention could be great. A lot less action, a lot more calibrating, a lot more thinking, a lot more feeling, a lot less speaking, and a lot less doing, and a lot less managing, and a lot less controlling, and a lot less trying to get other people to be different than they are so that you can feel better. But still, calibration is a real deal. It's real work.
So that's where the work.
That's only and always and ever will it will be. Because you were source energy. Oh, so happy. Why would you come here? There must have been something really big in it for you. Oh, eternity, more, identification, recognition of things wanted, and then isolating the vibration of it, and then calibrating to it, and feeling the cooperative universe back you up and fill in all the details of what you want. You're a master creator. That's why you came. And so you want to create. We don't want to give you the impression that you've got nothing to do. You got a lot to do. You want to think your way into happiness. Happiness would just be yours if you weren't in an environment where there were things to think about. But in this environment with things to think about, you're in a constant state of choosing. And if you're sloppy about it, so if you think, oh, well, the universe is taking care of 97% of it and I don't have to think very much, we say we'd be thinking, if we were you, thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling. Don't make yourself nuts. Esther's obsessed with this calibration. Something happens, she goes directly to her book. There's a problem and here's what it is. And she writes it down with great relish because she's eager about cleaning something up. And what's so interesting, every time she cleans up a little piece of something, 5 more things that she didn't even know were in there come out to play with her. And she goes, I knew you were coming. I didn't know when you'd be here or how big you'd be, but welcome. And then she calibrates about them too. And so she's feeling more empowered. She's feeling more eager. Things aren't bothering her. The past is irrelevant.
So the whole thing in the calibration is the idea of have fun with it. I mean, see it as a never-ending creative process.
See it as something you want. See it as something you ask for. See it as something that's a big payoff. But the payoff is not in the future. The payoff's right now with the improved emotion. That's the thing. It feels better right now. It feels better right now. And yeah, it's going to produce all kinds of great stuff. But don't let your ulterior motive be the great stuff. Let your motive be, this feels better right here and now. Yeah. Because when you think about it, let's go back to this conversation that we had earlier about it's attraction, attraction, attraction. So your inner being exists in a state of being as an attractor. And the law of attraction is responding to your inner being. And your inner being is sure and kind and love and smart and whole and full and eager. Your inner being is liquid love. Your inner being is infinite intelligence. Your inner being is expanded consciousness. Your inner being is a big deal. Your inner being is joyful beyond human description. So there's your inner being. Who is you? Who is you? Radiating all this becoming, and not the becoming that you might be identifying before you got here and messed it up. No, you didn't get here and messed it up. You got here and made it more. Your inner being is more of all of that we were describing because of the contrast that you've allowed yourself to live. Because in calibrating, you calibrated more. and your inner being enjoys the moreness that you calibrated and calls you home to the fullness of the creation that you have set into motion. You see how it is? Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
So there's your inner being radiating all of this clarity and love and fun and joy of life, radiating it, being it. And here you are having some sort of a relationship with that part of you. So let's say you're having a hard time today. Your inner being isn't. Your inner being is steady. Your inner being's got the light on. Your inner being is giving you an opportunity to feel your way to that. And sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't. When you don't, your inner being stays steady in that love. But when you do find your way home to it in this moment, your inner being feels rapturous. And so do you. You know those goosebumps that come with that new clarity? You know that the love that washes all over you when you're loving someone so much that you want to turn inside out and lick them all over their face? You know those feelings? That's you in resonance with your inner being as you and your inner being are having your allowing moment. Because your inner being's been there. Your inner being's been out ahead of it. Now you're coming into it. Now you are allowing yourself to be attracted by your inner being into what your inner being has already become. And then the cycle just goes again and again and again. So here it is. I know what I don't want. I know what I do want. I launch a rocket of desire. It's not familiar to me because I'm more familiar with what I don't want. But I care about how I feel. And so I feel a little better and I feel a little better and I feel a little better. I feel a little better. Line up with that. Now I'm in alignment with my inner being. And now my vibration rises. And now what my inner being knows about this flows into my experience. I'm brighter. I'm shinier. I feel better. And I get the stuff that I've been wanting. Boom. Manifestation happens. What else happened? Oh, a whole new set of contrasting experiences. I know what I don't want. I know what I do want. I don't really know what I do want. I more know what I don't want, but what I do want is calling me. And so I care about feeling good. And so I look toward what I do want. And then I'm called by my inner being toward what I do want. And I finally decide not to be stubborn. And I decide to go along because it worked out pretty well last time. And so I go along and then I line up with it. And then I come into vibrational alignment and things come into my head. And then boom, I have a manifestation. And now I also have a whole new set of contrasting experiences. So I know what I don't want. I know what I don't want. That's just how it goes. That's the eternal process of becoming. And it's supposed to feel good. It's supposed to feel good.
Love that. I love that I got a rampage too, because I always love when you rampage. So thanks for the rampage.
Stay right there.
Okay.
We have enjoyed this day more than any that has been before. We are so eager about what's coming next for you. We felt your calibration happen. That means things will be different for you. Now you know what that means. You know what to do. Don't make a big deal about it. Don't make hard work of it. And don't try to calibrate anybody else. Have fun with it. There is great love here for you. And for now, we are complete. Such a good day. Such a good day.